take situation.
Yeah. I usually do one takes these days, actually.
Yeah, we just one take.
I usually do 70 takes.
70 takes.
Yeah.
That's
Lucky
cute.
number.
That's cute. I used to do that back in the day. Still, well.
Yeah, after I heard a story about Tom Jones, you know, when he worked together with the Cranberries. Remember they did that "Burning Down the House" song.
Yeah.
The story, the Cranberries told this story where he
wasn't that Talking Heads? Burning Down.
Oh my God! Did I saw it?
No, it was Talking Heads originally,
Talking
but
Heads.
he did a remake with the Cranberries. I think it was.
Is
the
that what?
Cranberries.
Or is it another song? Maybe no. It
Burning
is.
Down the House is Talking Heads.
I was
It is,
ruining your
but-
story.
You ruined it. Thank you. No, it's fine. But then the story is that they did some rehearsing, and then he just said, "Yeah, just tell me what time I got to come in, and please be ready, just to do the take."
Yeah, have it all.
And they
ready
were
for
like,
me, kind of thing.
"The take,"
The
and he was like,
take.
"Yeah," and he came in. He said, "You guys ready? Everybody ready?" You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he put in the thing and he walked out, and everybody was ready to like, okay, should we just check it out and
Yeah.
keep doing some takes? And he
No,
was like, I'm on my way out now.
I'm gone. Yeah.
It's done.
What the fuck do you mean?
Yeah, I did the take.
Yeah.
I'm
Tom Jones.
I'm Tom Jones. You will remember my name.
yeah, make it work.
Yeah.
I sing
Yeah.
perfectly every time.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and
Yeah.
we are live. We were live just before as well.
We were.
Welcome to the Memoirquest, everybody.
Thank you so
This
much.
is our
Hello.
wonderful little show, and as always, I'm your host, Michael Rexon, co-host Henry Gibbs over there, Jukubus on the flip side,
Hello.
and our special guest today, founders of the NGO, right?
You
Yeah,
call it
we'll
that,
call
yeah.
it that.
Called Music for Ida,
Yeah.
Yasmin,
Yes.
and Rasmus.
Yeah.
If you like to
Yes,
state, I
yes,
actually,
yes.
Rasmus Vollen, and you're
It's just me and Kike. But
Yasmin
it's just
Kijk.
it's so weird because I don't like know when to say it in Danish and when to say it in English because
Okay.
my name is like Jasmine,
Yeah,
but when you look at it like written in Danish, it's like Yasmin.
Yasmin.
Yeah.
The same
which
goes
is-
for me. It's just a stupid name either way. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Rasmus or Rasmus.
Rasmus,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Volten or Volten. So
yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Rasmus,
You're more
could you
excited.
could you do me a favor actually and just help Yasmin a little with the microphone?
Yeah, I'm
Sure.
sorry.
Could you just move it a little bit towards me, like the whole stand?
I can do that.
I
This
can
is
see
something that I'm not used to
No,
at all.
that's it. And
Okay.
you don't have to.
I'm
worry.
gonna be looking at you a lot, I think.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
maybe
I see
we
that,
should.
so- yeah, let's try to see. If
You got a vibe going. Oh yeah.
There we go.
Okay, great. Is that
This
better?
is great.
Okay, amazing.
This is good microphone practice.
Okay. Yes.
She
yes.
never faces towards me. She tries to avoid at every time.
Very smart. That's
Yeah.
what I do also. Okay, would you guys mind?
you also not like squeeze that
Oh yeah, sorry, yes, thank you. Good that we started off by starting the show.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Well, technical issues, people.
Yeah.
Happens every time.
Would you mind enlightening us
Yeah.
on your project?
Yes.
On your idea.
Of course. So, what Music for Ida do is that we work with local communities, basically, because we don't want to start out by saying that we're doing something so new and so great, but what we do is that we work with local people from Aida Refugee camp in Betlehem, with the kids that they're in the camp, and we try to provide music lessons for the kids, free music lessons, twice a week. Yeah, so we try to give them something that they don't normally have because of the resources that they have right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we work with the local communities to provide things that they don't necessarily have or are able to provide for them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're a small organization in
Yeah.
Denmark making events, social, musical events in Denmark.
Yeah.
Basically just hosting great parties.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we collect the funds
Mm-hmm.
and we send them to in Bethlehem in Palestine,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the West Bank.
Yeah.
And that provides the free music lessons at the youth center
Yeah.
in Aida Refugee Camp.
Yeah.
So basically we just have a win-win situation.
Yeah.
We throw nice parties, we connect with people
Mm.
in Denmark,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, you can.
Who finds the music teachers and things like that? Is that you guys as well? Or
No. That's
so
why,
that's
that's on the local communities because they know the people. They know
Yeah.
who needs work. They know who to ask. We don't know those
sure.
people. So
What's the organization that you work with down there?
It's Aida Youth Center.
Aida
So
Youth
it's
Center.
like a youth center that we work with, where the kids is already there to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
they
we
have
didn't build a
No,
music school.
we didn't build a music school. No. What happened was that that we figured out that they had a lot of instruments from previous projects, from previous NGOs that were just like there and not being used. But because they didn't have the money and the resources to hire people to come in and work with the kids and play with them and give them these music lessons, then they were just locked up. And we took that opportunity, right, and tried to create something with the leader of the youth center, which is Anas, who we work really intensively with, because he's the one that provides us with the music teachers, and if we need new instruments or if we need I don't know, anything, literally, he's the man. Like, he has a big network and he's doing a lot for those kids in general. Like, he's in his 30s and has used most of his time to just I don't know, like, just provide the kids with whatever they need, a safe space, to be honest, because they don't have anything else. The center is also the place where they go if they need help with their homeworks, and if they just need anything, he's the go-to person. So he knows the kids really well.
He's basically just a very good local
He's amazing.
manager.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing the administration.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Did you call him Anas?
Anas. Yeah.
Anas, yeah.
Anas,
Anas
okay.
Abusarod.
Yeah.
He's just like this. He's got the community spirit. He's
So
he's
good.
actually a former banker who quit his job in Bank of Palestine to go back to Aida. He was born and raised in Aida camp as well.
Yeah.
And he's just the very foundation of this project was traveling, and we went there. I went there with a friend also and my sister, and connected with Anas, because if you go to Aida camp, you might very possibly like meet him at some point.
Yeah.
He's the the local guy,
Yeah.
and he's just such a sweetheart, and we connected, and got this idea of doing something instead of just working as a volunteer while you are in Aida camp. It sometimes feels weird that you have the possibility of just going home, back to your own everyday life, and of course you feel privileged, and that's okay. You shouldn't feel bad about having a good life in Denmark. But the weird thing is sometimes to leave that story behind. And then we started Music for Aida to keep that connection going and keep exchanging services and helping each other out.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Amazing idea.
Yeah, well.
So you were there you were there traveling, and how did your connection happen to it?
Well, me and Rasmus have been friends since high school. Been in the same, I don't know, kredse. What is that, like circles? Same circles.
Yeah.
And I've always had a crush on the Middle East. Always. Like, just
Obviously,
because I grew up like with, I don't know, like I didn't know a lot about the Middle East. I was always told what the Middle East was, of the society, people around me, and then I was going home and experiencing parts of the Middle East, right? My parents, the language, all of these things that I also connected with. But I did not know the story. I did not know history. I did not know like people outside of my family when I was going to Lebanon and visiting my family on vacation. And I just really, I wanted to know part of myself that wasn't represented in the society, to be honest. And that's where I started my bachelor in Middle Eastern Studies. And then I just fell more in love, and then I like explored and kind of, it's so weird because normally you take a bachelor to know something, like be a specialist on something, right? Not be a specialist on yourself as well. So I mean, there's so many things that I was learning about why I did as I did, or like why I'm speaking as I'm speaking right now, or you know, or why people are talking about these Arab countries in this way, you know, all of these things that you just, as a minority in Denmark, you grow up with an idea that you have to defend yourself. Just simply as that. You get exposed to so many things, and it's also good things, but most of the time you will meet prejudice, or you will meet I don't know, people who don't understand necessarily anything about Middle Eastern culture or anything, and you need to be that voice because it's put on you. You don't choose to be the agent of that, you know.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to also defend what I came from, because I have so much love in my in where I come from, right? In my culture, with my parents, everything. But people don't see that. People just see whatever, you know, in the news or.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's the way that I don't know, like through my studies, and then I knew that there was so much injustice being done in the world, and I've always been this. I always fight, like I fight so much for like people who cannot fight for themselves, or like help people who like give voices to people, or I'm always just been like a really fair person. And it just does not work when you're living in an unfair world, you know? It just does not work. But then
Makes you fight.
exactly. And then when Rasmus came home from that trip and he was talking about it, and I was like, oh my god, and we need to do this. Like we like he was already doing it, you know. It's not to take that away from him. He was always in the process of doing it.
Don't worry
But
about
when he called me, he knew what kind of person I was and what I was studying, and also kind of my aspirations, right? And
I think you went from a place where you had to defend yourself because of maybe your skin color, maybe your social or cultural heritage. Like that's pretty weird that you have to do that anyway. But it was like you had some sort of, there was this fire growing, like, right?
I've always had fire. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's just I don't know.
So I could see pretty. I mean, I did see some sort of motivation, like in terms of that, and I just traveled and found some good people. That was basically what I did. So I think it was a pretty good like combination.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which had we had pretty good personal reasons to start a project like this.
And also just like there were so many kids growing up. I know I'm privileged because my dad came to Denmark when he was 19. Had he not been, like, if he didn't travel and risk all of this, I know it's like a cliche, but if he didn't do that, I wouldn't be sitting here, you know, and I might have some of the same struggles that people in Palestine or people in Lebanon or people, I don't know, in Syria is having, you know, because, so I mean, I just know that there are so many, like, especially kids that are not, like, they cannot do anything about their situation because of somebody else, right? They're sitting there, and a lot of, I don't know, like the fact that we knew that there were people, like kids in Palestine or in other places, and for us it was really the Middle East, right? Because that's where we know the Middle East, and we have connections there, we know people there, so that was our go-to somehow. But we knew that there were so many kids who just needed a little bit light, a little bit, somebody who believed in them, somebody who gave them just a little bit of, I don't know, like something that was not there in their communities or helped them with going there. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just that.
I think
don't
music
know.
covers
Yeah,
that pretty
yeah,
good.
that was very good.
Music covers the whole thing pretty good.
Exactly.
That's social, that's cultural,
Exactly,
Sure, and it's learnative. It's all kinds of learning inside it, and
really
social learning, and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
It's an amazing project.
Well, it's not a finished project.
Oh,
because sometimes it could feel like when we talk about it as well, we're like, well, this sounds like a huge fucking success, which is really it's not, because it's a work in progress. Like,
well, I feel like a lot of times it's enough to get the ball rolling, you know.
It's
and
the
you
hardest
show
part
show
sometimes.
example, tell how it is, and then other
yeah.
people will get on it.
Yeah.
I can connect with this as well. I'm from Lithuania, so I can I experience quite a lot of racism here as well.
Being from Eastern Europe.
Yeah, being from Eastern Europe. As soon as you say this, you instantly are stabbed by the look, by the change of behavior, by body language. You instantly see how the person changes in front of you when you say this.
Man, that's why you often, man, I noticed that. That's why you often, maybe sometimes just keep it on the down low with that kind of thing, or not sort of, because
you know, it's like you can either put it up and put it to person, or you can, or a lot of people, I've tried doing this, but a lot of people bring this literally from the culture, from their parents, from their stuff. And then you talk with them, you see that there's so much explanation needs to be done, so much talk to them to explain what it is. that I just giving up right now.
Yeah,
I just rather do it in a different way, which a little bit more efficient way, I'd say. Rather talk to person, get to befriend person, and to know this is how we are, or like this, rather than explaining that no, it's not like this, you know, and people get angry of misleading, that mixing languages and stuff. But people, like you just said, you just need to start doing stuff, show a little bit, and it seems like...
I think writing a personal story about this is the thing that makes a difference, because people, they can really judge you sometimes on it's not about you, it's all the other guys, like exactly. And sometimes when you do a story like this, I can tell from some of my family or relatives that has kind of a weird like mixed feelings with people or culture from the Middle East, like some I don't want to get too close with this topic, but I can see it changes the perspective of some of my relatives and people close to me that I know could be a little bit,
unsure about how they feel about that situation.
Maybe just a little bit different from my point of view and how I see it. But I can see when I share this story that we try to build in Palestine, first of all, they're not so worried about talking about Palestine because that can be controversial in itself.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not too happy about all that, There's a little bit maybe of Islamophobia. Like it's like we don't really want to talk about that. But when you share personal stories, it changes the perspective.
Yeah.
And when you see happy kids playing music, you can't really deny. I think everybody likes to see that.
Sure.
I mean, they're like, well, that looks great. That's nice.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can change the whole conversation.
Yeah.
The whole narrative in a way.
The personal stories make people realize that there is actually...
Would you mind just putting your microphone up there?
Thank you for reminding me that.
Very strict about that.
Even me, as a seasoned...
You should be a pro, right?
Okay. No,
you should get paid for this.
There we go.
You can get it a
little bit lower here.
Yeah. No,
you don't have to draw it, you can just push.
Yes.
Go ahead, Henry, thank you.
Voice.
Which was I was saying, of course, with the personal stories, people suddenly realise, oh, that person's not so different from me. We're quite similar, actually. There's quite a lot that bonds us together and binds us, as opposed to this phantom kind of unreachable difference from a different culture. Which is mainly ignorance, right? Which is mainly just not being exposed, being in a bubble, being in an echo chamber where you don't have exposure to those different cultures. So it's really important to be personally talking about your experiences so people can relate. But I can imagine it's also very exhausting.
I think people, they want the echo chambers all the time because we're exposed to so much. Being in a digital world, in a globalized world, we're exposed to... we're always challenged on our, stereotypes or like our perception of things that we simplify in all these crazy, weird ways. So we're always challenged. If you're on social media, you read newspapers, you read the news, you're exposed to stories all the time. So sometimes I think people, they want those echo chambers to just make the world a little more simplistic, like a little more.
Good.
Can we just relax?
I agree with that.
Yeah. Can we just not talk about Palestine and Israel again today? But sometimes I think with a little benefit from our project as well is that we try to share as many personal stories as well that we possibly can, and we're like right now we're working on documentaries and podcasts as well, and we do live interviews. We did that in May as well. Yeah,
like we tried. Okay, our whole thing is about creating those personal stories, right?
Yeah.
Because as you said, it's the only way that we actually connect with people, and people are tired. And people are tired of hearing about Palestine-Israel conflict. It's not that it's tiring; it's just so big, and it's a lot of, like, I had a friend from one of my good friends. She was texting me and saying, I need to understand the conflict. Do you have any articles that can give an overview of what is happening? And I was like, you can't do that with an article, you know, like, because it's, you know, and I was like looking, and because we studied this, so I was looking to see if I can get any article, and I didn't. I only had books because it's so complicated. And that just goes to say that the only way that you can actually understand it is through personal experience, because it doesn't really matter about the geopolitical powers. It's about how people experience, you know,
human stories.
Yeah, it's the human struggles, and that's what we try to do in every single project that we have. With the we had like we tried to do a live session like during COVID-19, so that people can see how COVID also is affecting the community in Aida, and not just affecting the way that it is here, because here we lock down a society, and then the government tries to figure out ways that secures people, like financially, health-wise, all of these things. But there they have to come up with different ways to like come together and create this like community. And some of the they have to facilitate some things that they didn't do before, like the Aida Youth Center. They had to go out and like they created a soup kitchen where they, like, for 350 people or something like that, every single day
first aid
during Ramadan,
all of Aida,
and they and medicine and all of these things by coming together, like connecting with different organizations within the camp, and just like create this safe space, a safety net. We have like a welfare system. They don't have that, right? They created a safety net where people...
Local government.
Yeah, exactly. They honestly, they did, because they were locked down by the Israeli government, and then they were locked down by the Palestinian authorities. So it's like a double up thing, right? So we wanted them to also be able to explain their experience also during COVID-19. So we created this live session. We did it twice. 3 times. One time it was really bad because of the connections and stuff like that in the camp. But it
was actually a miracle. It went well 3 times in a row. With no breaks in the connection.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and now we're trying to do something like, it's new. It's a creative process, but something called Aida Dialogue. We want to try to connect people here with people in Aida, so that they somehow meet, but also exchange experiences, because that's what we said, the personal
pen pals.
Yeah.
How would you imagine to set something up like that, Aida Dialogue? How would it look?
Well, we were thinking about talking with people in Aida who would be interested in having conversations with some of our friends.
Just your friends, or
like some people who think Music for Aida is nice, or have reached out, or some of our friends. I studied with a lot of Danish, like ethnically Danish girls who speaks Arabic perfectly now.
Cool.
They're amazing. Like,
pretty
they're insane. That could be fun, right?
Really good. Yeah. Good exchange there. Definitely.
Exactly. So it's like we don't look down on that, like Arabic, or it has to be in English, but we we just
try to use social media, and I work with film as well, and music, of course. So it's like you just take those very simple things, like recording. You could even do it on your iPhone. Just record a couple of questions. We send it there, and we exchange like interviews, and that's what we're going to do with Aida Dialogue as well.
Nice. That's a great one.
We're going to start out with music, but expand it to like people in Denmark studying Arabic as well. Yeah. Maybe they have different, maybe they could bring in some of the,
maybe they could teach
questions.
them a bit of Arabic through that desert. Yeah.
It's really, I think the whole thing about Music for Aida is it's very simple, the things that we use, and it has been done before, but I think like sometimes we're able to get the perfect people connected because of our social relations to the people in Aida, and the people that we work with are very, very close friends. So it's like anything is possible. Like when we ask them to find this and this person to feature in a broadcast or something like that, they're like, we got the perfect guy. You just wait. And anything can happen. And I think that's the big difference.
There's a lot of resources there, obviously.
Yeah, we found out. We didn't know. This wasn't a master plan. No. It was like we're just a bunch of friends with a bunch of friends down there. And we get these crazy ideas. And you can actually do a lot of these with the working tools that you have in your own phone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and everybody's got those smartphones now, right?
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
really,
They do.
you know, I just got reminded by just with this dialogue, the Aida. I have an app. I forget what it's called right now. It's for helping blind people see things. So what you do?
Oh yeah.
So basically, you get a note. Blind people have the app, and then they can go like, okay, hi there, thanks for helping me. I want to choose. I can't see which one of these two sweaters is the red one. I want to wear the red one.
Okay.
Could you tell me which one is the red one? It's like, yeah, it's the left one.
It's like a video call.
It's a video
with
call.
person.
So blind
Who-
people can
who-
ask for help in
yeah.
any
Amazing.
situation where they need a pair of eyes.
Yeah.
And then they
Spare
get
pair of
ran-
eyes should be the name
Wow.
of the app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, would you mind Googling that for us, Jakubas, just to see
Yeah,
that, so I
we
can
should
say the
probably
name
represent it.
because it's a
are
good
you
Be
doing
my
the
eyes.
advertising
Be
business?
my eyes, yeah.
Be my eyes.
By the way, you
Okay.
can always ask Jakubas to Google something, or
Yeah,
like
that's
if we
the
want to
power
go
of
watch
it.
a
Wanna
video
watch
of a
some
cute
cool
dog.
video?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
example.
we do that.
We do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to pass the
I
time.
didn't see the new Rick and Morty. Could
Yeah.
It's not that good.
Okay, well,
Oh,
Oh,
controversial.
I have to say.
controversial.
then don't search for it.
Oh man, I really. So, would you mind telling me a little bit about the history of Aida in itself as a
The camp.
refugee camp? How old is it?
Mm.
What's when was
Well, yeah.
like yeah? Could
Well, I've been there 3 times, and we're several people from Aida, Music for Aida. I think we're 4 people or something like
sorry,
that.
can I just ask you a question? Matthias Wolf, and
Matthias Wolf?
was he there? Sorry,
I
with
actually
you
don't know.
and
no.
Peter, the jazz guys.
No, actually not, because
Great.
there
That's
were,
a question. That's a
I've
no.
heard from them. A lot of Danish people go to Aida camp.
Yeah,
Mm.
I've heard
apparently,
about that.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Really like that, and heads up to all the people that have been to Aida. Just
Mm.
write us, like we
in
want to
touch.
connect.
We
Get in
really
touch.
want to connect, yeah.
But the Aida refugee camp was established by the UN in 1948. Recently after the Nakba, when
What's the Nachma? Sorry,
well, it's
It's the exodus of...
the exodus of
Yeah.
Palestinian people.
Exactly,
Exactly.
that's the thing, yeah.
Okay.
the Palestinian.
Nachba.
so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
one of the
It's
like-
just to say, I'm sorry to
Yeah, yeah,
interrupt.
no.
Like in Arabic, that's the catastrophe.
catastrophe.
Yeah,
Mm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's pretty heavy name,
is.
and it's
Yeah.
so it's like it's a very dark like history behind the
Mhm.
Aida refugee camp, and it's one of the it's a very crowded space. It's like less than a square kilometer, and like 6,000 people living there, and it used to be these small like they drew out like they had tents, families living in one tent, and then this became like a more of a permanent temporary solution. So people, they started building houses after a couple of years. More and more generations came, and now it's like it's a small town actually. It's bricks and mortar, and it's like it's houses, all of it.
Yeah.
So when people, they see pictures from the Aida refugee camp now, they're like, well, they expect to see these UN tents,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all of
It's
that.
been going since 48.
It's a pretty long time, yeah. So
Since
it's a
the
lot of
creation of Israel.
yeah, and you
Since,
still
yeah.
meet the grandparents and the
Yeah.
that still holds these big
Oh, man,
big
we gotta
keys.
interview all of those people.
Well,
Well, we gotta
They would
document
love that.
and I mean, now it's like 2 or 3 generations after.
4 actually now.
Okay,
4
wow, yeah,
generations,
yeah.
Mm.
I think.
After the Nakba.
Yeah.
And you still meet the grandparents with these big keys that they used to lock up the doors
yeah.
from their original homes that they left
Yeah.
during the Nakba.
hmm
You still meet these people from
Yeah.
way back then.
When they
and-
were scared out of their houses and things like that, there were so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a lot going on there. Yeah,
It was really so you can actually see on
Yeah.
the pictures there.
yeah
Like,
exactly.
the thing that you'll notice if you go to Aida refugee camp, it's just beside Hebron Road, downtown Bethlehem, and it's baby Jesus Bethlehem.
Yeah.
It's the Bethlehem.
I've been there once before.
And then you'll see the sign as well, as you can see there on
1948.
Google, 1948. Welcome to Aida camp. And when you go into the main entrance, just by Aida Youth Center, Aida Youth Center is actually part of the main entrance. You'll notice the big, like key hanging from the statue.
Picture.
Yeah, and that's the symbol of the key of the right to return. So a lot of families holds these old keys, heavy, big ass keys.
The symbolic keys.
And
it's not exceptional. Like Aida's story is not exceptional. No. This is what's happening all around Palestine, Israel. What you know, like it's pretty much with every other refugee camp. It's the same thing. They're still living there since 1948.
And are they still waiting to return?
Everyone.
So it's this kind of limbo state.
It is. It's like a permanent temporary solution.
Yeah. And you also see it with people who fled, you know, to the Arab countries, you know, like to Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, during 1948, and also 67, because there was a war as well between the Arab countries, and in order to get
Six-Day War.
And like so. Even I did my bachelor project about Palestinian refugees in Lebanon, because I saw so much injustice being done there as well. And the thing is that even people who fled and started up new lives are still thinking about the return to Palestine, because it's still, they hang on to not that to say that it's not justified, you know, but just like that they just.
Like it's part of history.
It's just so internalized, you know, and it's the story that goes on for generations. So that's the thing that you will be taught whenever a new generation is born. You see it with the kids now, with the kids that are 7, 8. They know that's it's part of their identity, you know, to have this Palestinian struggle. So it's
There's a sort of flicker and a flame of hope.
It is
this thing about being able to return home.
Yeah.
Also, Aida camp is like a very exposed place, because like literally the fourth wall of the house is the Israeli apartheid wall, the separation wall goes through Aida camp, and it's a very crowded space. And a study from the Berkeley University in the U.S. actually they concluded that Aida camp is the place on Earth most exposed to tear gas, the use of tear gas. So it's like there's a lot of confrontations and a lot of conflicts. Like it's like a, I don't know if you call it the eye of the storm, because it's
calmer than the eye.
I don't know actually. I'm bad at saying so. No.
Yeah, well, me too. Obviously, I'm the one trying to use it, but like it's really the center of the conflicts, and in many ways, both physically. And also, like, it's one of the oldest refugee camps, as far as I'm told, and you also have that symbol of it. Actually, it is the biggest key in the world. It's recorded in the Guinness World Records.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
wow, fun fact.
They actually brought it to Berlin once for an exhibition.
What?
Yeah, all the way to Berlin.
Okay.
So
come and see the biggest key in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
But it's like a lot of people that a lot of people that travels to the West Bank and Palestine, they might end up visiting Aida refugee camp. So it's like it's a very I don't if popular is the right term to use, but it's a well-known place.
Sure.
Why we end up there, I don't really know. It's that's because of Alex, like Alex Fellini, drummer from Pachanka, and next to he's working on Turning Tables Denmark. He traveled there with Memoirquest with a group of young people.
That you work together with kind of as well? Or you just did some of the shows at their place?
Good friends, good people, and we've actually visited some of their events. Just means she did a talk with Memoirquest as well at the Copenhagen kitchen. Alex, who used to work there, he went to Palestine with a group of young activists from Mellemfolkeligt Samvirke, and they went to Aida, and that's where he met all the people from Aida Youth Center, and he just connected very well with them, and he had to throw his 40th birthday party. We did that on Reffen, where you've played several times, and we had this big ass party. It was the best party ever. Like, it was really, really a lot of fun. We collected, instead of collecting gifts for him, he told people, well, donate to the bar, because we're gonna collect all the funds, send it to Aida. We collected more than 50,000 Danish kroner
on one
night.
evening.
Wow.
To a football team.
And all of our friends, they were like poor ass musicians and stuff like that. So I was like, we had this feeling afterwards,
the people that give, actually.
at the end of the day.
That's true.
We were like, hey, we had the greatest party ever. And when you convert the money to shekels and you buy things in Palestine, it's really like you get a lot more to spend. These things will do so well down there. So it was like, we could see a lot of things changing by just throwing a big party.
No.
That was crazy.
I'm just getting a bit moved by you guys. You're good. I'm very moving. I'm getting moved very quickly.
Oh.
It's good work.
Well, it's fun work. That's the thing.
It's necessary work, I would say.
Yeah,
in general.
And like I said before, it sounds like it's the perfect project, but it's really not. It's like
a
it's
working
a working
process. And we keep saying to ourselves, because we are making so many mistakes. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just trying to get rid of it just quick. No, I'm okay with being a bit emotional.
Okay.
But I'm just I just really I can feel it. Feel you guys.
That's good.
Really
I'm glad.
appreciate it.
That's what we want.
I'm always moved so deeply by this when we are in such suffering, you know. And I'm just gonna take a breath.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, yeah. Well.
And then when people selflessly move together to just try and help each other. I really appreciate that. I think it's become such a vulnerable, and it's really the sweetness of people and you guys and your way of thinking. It's very inspiring to me.
Thank you.
Well, I think
stealing the show a bit here.
No, it's your show. It's okay. You steal it.
It's your show. You can cry.
I feel it.
You
I
guys,
feel it.
yeah.
I do a lot. Crying every now and again.
But sometimes it's like, I think we feel like, because we don't do this for the money or for anything like it, but actually I feel kind of privileged because of just me not being able to go to Palestine. I've been there 3 times, and I've actually encountered these. I know these people that we work with, and the other day we did a broadcast where it's just me met 2 of the students, and when I saw them on the camera, I was like, yeah, well, I know those girls. I know those girls.
So you can't travel there because of travel restrictions?
No, I don't know if I can travel there. I haven't tried it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have double citizenship.
Uh-huh.
So
with Lebanon, sorry?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So because of that, and because there's no truth between Lebanon and Israel, I don't know if that matters. Mm-hmm. So I haven't really took the chance yet.
Okay.
But I want to go. I really want to go.
We're gonna try and see what happens.
Yeah. Because every time I talk to Anas or somebody else, they're like, "When are you coming?" And I'm like, I want to go, guys. I really want to meet you. I really want to have fun and like experience and be with the kids and just like everything. I envy him, because he has been there have been there many times, But I hope soon, at some point, I will be able to do that.
Yeah, and I mean the way you connect with people there. I mean, the last 2 times I went there, I was like trying to just my friends Yumna and Akram that I stay with when I'm working in the camp. It's 2 local journalists. Yumna is actually born and raised in Texas and went to university in New York City and traveled to the Middle East to cover for a newspaper for media in the Middle East. met Akram and went to Aida camp, and and ended up staying there as well. And Akram is this local guy. They work together, journalists. She's a journalist. He's a filmmaker, and and then they're just great people. And I get to go back there every time, and you feel this, strong connection to these people. Sometimes I think it's weird that I have actually only been spending in all a little more than a month with them, because I'm there 2 weeks at a time.
Okay.
That's due to restrictions as well. The more time you stay, the more you get, the more risk you take.
Are you traveling when you go there, you're traveling to Israel?
Well,
you
I
have
think
to go through Israeli authorities,
at some point I started
to Tel Aviv.
I started talking about this openly at some point, because I knew with the music for Aida we had to be personal in our way to communicate this project. Because yes, I do travel to Israel, and it's getting harder and harder to get through. And at some point I might not be able. But I mean, I've chosen
because when you travel to Israel, you go through quite a rigorous interview process, correct?
You can do. I haven't been caught to say,
It's because you're the privileged white man.
I'm the privileged white man.
Yeah.
And you. I mean,
of course.
But
and that's racism in another way, because I look Israeli when I go through the airport.
Sure.
And I
can see that.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously. At one point, I was actually being holed up in Aida camp by a group of young guys who thought I was an Israeli
infiltrated.
I
never heard this story.
I was thrown against the wall. Yeah. They searched me for weapons, and I said "Anatanimaki," and told in Arabic that I'm no fucking Israeli. I'm just a stupid Danish white guy, and they searched me. I handed them my wallet because I thought, well, I'm getting robbed now. They gave me back my wallet, and they told me to fuck off. And then I went off. They were basically just searching for if I was walking around with weapons.
Sure.
That's Aida camp again. Yeah. They didn't want my money.
No. Yeah.
They
just want to be safe.
They just want to be safe.
That's the only time I've not been being white is so much easier. Going through the airport in Israel and all that.
No doubt.
And even being
just cut your hair weird and
exactly.
No.
Then you'll get pulled aside.
That's what you really want.
But I mean,
there's of course that'll probably still let you through a lot.
At some point, I think it's going to be a problem, but we'll deal with that when we have to.
Yeah.
So setting it up, setting the project up, did you have to go through the Israeli authorities to kind of be able to get permits to come and do something like that? How does it work?
No.
I don't know if we should, but
involve
we haven't.
Yourselves. No.
Because it's also it's a Palestinian territory.
It's
like
it's the West Bank.
Yeah, and it's like
area A, B, and C.
So there are also Palestinian authorities there. And we're not I don't know if we should, but right now that's not our primary concern.
No, you're basically you're fundraisers and donators to another NGO
exactly.
in a way, and you're a partner with that.
And that organization is run by
the
UN.
Of course.
So
that's the
So they have all the permits, and you have to just adhere probably to the Danish laws about fundraising.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. That's where the partnership comes along. They're 50% of it. We're the other 50% working in Denmark. But when it comes to the local based community, they're running the whole show, and they're doing the whole management. And that's the difference from a bigger NGO where you see this there's this helicopter theory, you go in and you do some work in a close period of time. Maybe you bring in international teachers, instructors, and you build a good solid story that you can tell your investors and all that, and you make a lot of films and all that shit. It looks great, but then when the period stops, you go back, and
That's
just
what we were trying to
leave them
avoid.
behind.
Yeah.
because that's why we found all those musical instruments. Like
Exactly.
Jasmine
In the
told,
first place, yeah.
we found all those musical instruments.
There was a
in the
project, and then
IDU
it
center.
just
Yeah,
And they
because
left.
They were there. There
Yeah.
was a big
An Austrian
NGO.
project,
Yeah.
like an Austrian NGO.
Yeah, that came.
They had
there.
a huge funding.
Yeah.
Like we're talking millions of Danish kroners here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Big budgets.
Mhm.
And well, it's great. Everyone is happy during
Yeah.
that year and a half, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But not
There's
very
no
sustainable.
consistency. No, exactly. It's not sustainable.
There's
and
no
what we found
longevity.
out is
Like it's all like these very closed, short periods of time that
Yeah.
you show a lot of results. Like all the investors, all people contributing to this cause, they're happy. So it's basically all the white people from Europe, they're clapping their hands and saying that's great,
Yeah.
and it is great. But what about when you leave again?
Yeah.
Mm.
First
Has
it
an
giveth,
impact.
then it take
Well, that's
away.
the problem with that. There's kind of like there's an intrigue. There sometimes it's the whole thing of charity in our modern day economic climate. Still extremely important to create these charities. Also, just kind of show the hole in the economic system that we have. You know, how about? Okay, you want to make a lot of charities. How about socialism instead?
Yeah.
You know, like instead of full-blown capitalism, and then we just constantly sort of like feed off some of it to this that never really
It's very
catches
impressive
on and
in
become.
a short-term perspective.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
But they don't become like that. Those kind of investments should make those people become, for example, part of a marketplace or something
Yeah.
like that. Be able to interact with an international marketplace, perhaps, or
and building something sustainable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Well, that
Yeah, and I mean, for us,
is very interesting.
when we saw, like, we want something, we want consistency. We want to give them, because they're so used to people going and coming. So when you think of a refugee camp, you don't automatically think as like it's a place where you would go volunteer, right? It's like and just stay there and do projects and all of these things. You think of tents and I don't know,
Crisis.
yeah,
and
crisis and all of
chaos.
these things. But
Yeah.
this is a place that has been there for years. It's like it's a city, right?
Yeah.
It's a really marginalized city now, and just the fact that a lot of NGOs want to do something there and just do it for a short period, it just leaves them with like a little bit of hope, and then it's taken away from them again. Like, and they want to be like, what we want to do with this project is also that they can get some tools out of this and provide this for the local community again, because as we said, there is a lot of really good people working and have resources and all of these things, right? So we're just trying to contribute to that, and give them, I don't know, like the means somehow to
and the social aspect of it is so important, because if we're talking about cold cash, we're not really the ones providing the cold cash, because it's the bare minimum. We're
we're working on what we can.
I mean,
to
it's
create
really
a sustainability. So it's not something over
is
a
it
year.
like 1,500 Danish kroners a month or something like that we're providing right now at the moment?
A little bit more.
Okay, that's good to
hear.
hear.
3,000 ish is
Okay,
like
wow.
is like, because we don't want it to.
You see,
Is that from
actually-
donations, or is that from the collection of money that you then?
That's from the Aida Union as well.
Uh-huh.
We have members of a support organization called Aida Union, and we basically just tell all our friends and families to contribute, and it's very small amounts of money every month, and we have people doing that. And
Is that where's
that's whole
what
thing.
project, what platform? Where can we find that?
On our Facebook group, Music
Okay.
for Aida. Yeah.
And directly there you can do the donation also.
Yeah,
You have
exactly. It's like we were trying to establish this platform, and it's gonna be a website at some point.
We just need to
hopefully
get to
soon,
that
like-
point as we said.
Yeah,
it's
and
working.
then you can sign up on our website
Cool.
once that is up. Right now we're doing a crowdfunding as well with a Danish group called Oktoberkor to support 2 NGOs on the West Bank. It's like from project to project, and sometimes we throw a music party, and then we actually had a concert planned for the May 24th. And we had Barbara Moleko as well coming.
I saw that, yeah.
Danish pop star. She's great, and she's supporting the Music for Ida initiative. Instead of performing at the concert, we recorded a session with her, and to promote online crowdfunding. So we always try to do small projects to collect, you know, a lot of things ending up being, you know, the financial support that we can provide.
And the first, I don't know, like year or 1.5 year, we were basically funded through our events, like monthly events where people came. So people donated food, like restaurants, or we made the food ourselves. Like it was really like hard work, because we had to every single month. Like also it was fun because people came and they socialized, they heard about what we were doing, they wanted to help, and it came out in a very authentic way, which is through like relations, right? And this is what we want to do. So it was pretty much
actually from that we built a relation with it. Danish restaurant called the Gaza Grill.
Yeah, exactly.
Gaza Grill.
On St. Anne's Torv, like this organic shawarma falafel restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. It's
really like cozy place, and
nice.
And the owner Omar, like he's a good friend of Alex. Alex was one of the guys we started this project with. Alex is he's in the project somewhere.
He's supportive, and he's there if we need him.
So
but
he's
doing his own thing.
He actually he's working with turning tables. You can't save all of the world, but you can do some. And he's doing great work there. And he set up this meeting with Omar from Gaza Grill, and he was just a great guy. And we basically just told him, well, we're funding free music education for refugee kids in Bethlehem, and he was like, I'm on it.
Yeah.
Sweet, like, man. Yes.
And that's,
he trusted us 100%, and he donated food, and now he's also like, we have this.
That's amazing. Great work.
He pays for promotional material. We do recordings in Aida, and we do recordings with our local managers. They tell us what they think is all right to be used for promotional material for the Gaza Grill.
Yeah.
So we've set up a connection where we get the material from Aida, we produce it, we deliver to Gaza Grill. He uses it as content on his social media. He's very good at using social media to promote his restaurant.
He is.
So basically, just plain footage from Aida is something valuable to him, and he pays us, and we pay Aida Youth Center. So he actually supports our music program.
That's very cool.
Everyone is benefiting.
That's a good circle.
It's like,
exactly.
and still, it's a very fine line, because if you use it wrongly, then we could get a call from Anas telling like, hey, that's not cool. That thing you did there is not. And sometimes I've sent him films like saying, can we use this? And he was like, I don't really like that.
Yeah.
That perception of that story, I don't like that. And we're like, well, that's cool.
And that's exactly, like, that's what he just touched upon, exactly what we're trying to do. Like, we're trying to corroborate. Because a lot of NGOs are not doing that. They're not listening, because they have, I don't know, budgets, and they have people to refer to, and, are under or whatever. And then like, these people, their stories, what they do is neglected, And then they're not part of what you do. You just do it,
out of self-interest.
Exactly. And what we really try to do is we really try to corroborate most of the time. And we also have this fine line, because we also get money, and people have to perform several things in order, So we also we are figuring out how to be 50-50, but at the same time have this transparency towards the people that are donating as well, right? So they don't just think, okay, this is something that is their friends and somebody is benefiting from it, because we know them and it's personal relations. It could easily go wrong, just by talking about personal relations, that people think, okay, it's going in their own pockets maybe, right? So we try as much as we can to say, okay, it's really a corroboration, just as he said, explained how, But at the same time, we also want to show the people who donate that this is not like we're not running a show, you know. We're not just helping one person or one group of people. We want this to be an organization that we can, like a model we can apply other places for other kids,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And we want to create like relations with people also in Lebanon. Let's say there is a lot of refugee camps in Lebanon, or in Syria.
yeah.
Maybe not in Syria right now, but you know, still in Jordan, whatever. There are so many places where this project could be amazing, you know,
Totally.
and could do something. Yeah. So I mean,
I get the feeling that you're growing a community.
we try
I
at
think
least. Yeah.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think it's a platform because
Yeah.
it's not rocket science what we're
No.
doing.
We're
We're just like
learning by failing, to be honest.
Enabling people.
We're just
Yeah.
talking to people
Yeah.
like we're doing right now. It's like and you get
Yeah.
like I told before, like I get to have a lot of fantastic experiences by traveling these places because I go to places where
Yeah.
I know people and we have something we work together on.
Yeah.
Like it's like being in a band. You have that special connection to your bandmates, even your crew around the band. Like you have this. We got
Why
something.
are you laughing?
We have something together. We share something.
I'm in his band.
Ah, okay.
So I was just relating my
A great
special
fucking band, by the way.
relationship.
Great fucking band.
Thank you.
You're welcome to play for Music for Ida.
I
We
think
would
it'd be
really-
amazing.
Of course.
We would love
100%.
that.
Yeah.
We would really like that.
Yeah.
But
It was
I
the
mean,
first thing actually. I also I tried to inform me then that we would like to be involved in some way.
That's
We
so
would love
cool.
that.
That's so
Having
cool.
you
Well,
here.
Yes.
we-
Defo.
it's being recorded, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I was on. Yeah, I was also. You're actually also on my mailing list for another project that I'm working on, Rasmus, as a musician, because I've decided to start a project called Mondo Beat Peace Nation Orchestra, which
Yeah,
is
cool.
a giant, which it has the simple idea of playing music about peace for people affected by war. It's
Wow,
very,
that's cool.
And I would like to go to the refugee camps that are in southern Europe right now, in
In Greece.
Greece,
Yeah.
and Turkey as well if we can. And the idea is to create borrow from the African revolutionary Fela Kuti, who created a type of music called Afrobeat.
Yeah, cool.
And Afrobeat has a certain, without using too musical terms, but it like kind of stays in the same tonality. It's a beat and groove based thing. Many acoustic instruments. That means that it's a type of music that you can join in on. It doesn't matter which instrument or what you play or whatever. You can easily join in on that music. So, going to the camps, we're with a Afrobeat setup band, meaning that the whole band is a choir, horns, drums, maybe just 2 little amps so that the bass can come out, but as much as possible that it's very easy to enter into the places and you don't need all of the technical stuff to play. And at the same time can invite everybody aspiring musicians or musicians, of which there are many in all of these camps, and anybody who wants to join.
Maybe musicians in the camps as well.
Hopefully musicians in the camps, because
Yeah.
and then the music that I'll then compose it in a way that it is accessible.
Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry.
So just so you know, you're gonna get
That's cool,
you're
yeah.
gonna get an email about that. You're gonna come and play
I
some
want to
bass.
join.
Amazing.
I've actually been to Lesbos, to the refugee
Is that
camps,
right?
and Moria as well in Lesbos. In
Okay,
15, yeah. So
Okay.
actually, I know some people working there.
great.
Yes.
I think we should talk.
Yeah, let's talk. Totally. I put things on ice because of Corona. I was out of the country for most, and I had to also sort of like. So yeah, I put it on,
Yeah, I
on
messed
ice
up
for a little
quite
bit.
a lot of things. Yeah,
I managed to send some emails out to see if some people were interested in joining.
that'd be so cool.
But it's all about the same thing. It's about I'll fund it here.
Yeah.
I even called the jazz festival actually, and I said, give me a giant slot
Yeah.
with the most amount of money that you can give me, and all of it will go to this project. You know, do you want to create a corporation around that idea? You know, and I'll make sure that the band has all of the big Danish or Scandinavian sort of stars or something like that, so that it kind of makes sense for the jazz festival or whatever.
So in a way, you can actually promote your own music by doing good things. I mean, telling like a jazz festival too, like if you provide us with this slot,
Yeah.
we're gonna spend it wisely. We're not just gonna, we're gonna spend it in some other way, and by that you create more stories.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I think that's quite an interesting thing that you have going there, and that circle, and also being aware of the pitfalls of it, and involving people in like, I'm trying to tell this story. This guy's gonna sell it. He's gonna tell it on his social media platform, selling falafels. And is it okay for like? I really think that's
it's a very fine line.
It is.
But I think it's always based on trust and
inclusiveness.
Trust can also be
so
like
much inclusiveness.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important because
Sometimes
that's what we've seen goes wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where it goes wrong. If you don't include people
you come to teach them something or
Exactly,
something like that, it's belittling.
And that's not what we need. We need people to grow, and we need people to communicate and see each other with the same eye height. I don't know what it is in English. You know, eye height. It's the same.
Eye to eye. There you go.
Eye to eye. Okay, amazing. But that's what we need. We need more people looking at each other like that, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then just.
But I think as well that you need to know somebody what are you gaining from doing this.
Exactly.
If you want to do something to people, I've also always told Anas, for example, why am I still doing this? I'm like, well, this is not a charity case for me.
No.
You're my friend, and we do things for each other, and you do things for me when I'm visiting and stuff. I personally do get a lot of things from this. I think like you can do projects like doing like going to the jazz festival, like addressing them and saying like, if you give me a kick-ass slot and a shitload of money for that, I'm gonna spend it wisely.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make a good story.
Exactly. And you're allowed to share that story, and you can take the credit for that as well.
They can tell like, hey, this guy he wanna go places. So if we promote this artist, we definitely know he's got a fire going. Like, and at the same time, he doesn't want to use that for his own good. He actually want to share that. So if we give him money, he actually want to make something bigger of that.
Yeah.
And I think all in all, that's a very like, you can't trust people doing good only for others. You need to have some advantages for yourself. But if you find a way to use that and at the same time include others,
other people,
then you found a very, very good thing in life.
And
I think when you find projects like that, you really gain a lot from that, and you grow a lot.
And our specific case, we saw people who were doing that, like before we came, right? We were seeing that Anas and the whole crew behind Aida Youth Center were actually putting in hard work. And we're doing that every single day for the kids, for the community.
For years and years.
So you get inspired. Like, you're not just going to a place and saying, okay, they need something here, right? And we know what they need. We were seeing people that were doing something for their communities, working with things that they knew was needed, And then we looking at the people we were working with and saying, how can we contribute to this? We want to
be a part of your thing.
We want to be a part of your thing. We don't want to roll our control.
We want to be a part of your band.
Exactly. And we want to build something with you. We see you. We see the hard work that you're doing, and we want to give whatever we can to add to that. It's about adding. It's not about
We basically just saw a cool thing going, and we were like, "Hey, can I please play the triangle in your band? Because I want to be standing in the corner and just be a part of this."
Exactly, I know this so well. I want to contribute with this.
And now we try to move more and more, into the central core of the project, and it's not only Anas, it's also like Mustafa Mohammed and the guys from Volunteer Palestine, and it's this house with a bunch of young guys and girls, and especially the girls actually on all these music education, all these things going on in the house.
Especially the girls.
The girls are like
they're creating bands, guys. Like they're doing their shit.
They're rock and roll, man. And actually,
Yeah.
the young guys managing this youth center, they're like, all of them are talking about the girls are pretty cool. Like they're going places. Like the girls, they're the ones getting better and better in English. And I saw that with a volunteer from Chicago, Illinois. She was trying to teach violin classes. She had one of the girls, she's like 12, I think. She was translating English to Arabic. Wow. And I was like, well, and she was from the first time I went there to the second time, I could see like she's really developing skills.
Wow.
Like skills.
Yeah.
And at the same time, she's getting so good in English. And I was like, and all the guys, Anas included and stuff, they're like, that's pretty cool. Like in this culture, like with
That's very cool.
with the women still places being very oppressed and stuff, like they were like, these girls, they're growing strong. Like they're going places.
It's not just about, you know, like we have to also be careful about depression stuff, right? Because it's we discuss this all the time, but it's not about Palestinian women being oppressed only. It's about like what are the struggles that they fight each the genders, right?
Sure.
They're fighting different fights, and because the fight is a mutual, like is a united thing, is the struggle of Palestine, then other fights become, I don't know,
less important.
less
you're
important, and
struggling to
you just
survive
don't,
every day.
yeah,
like,
you just don't see them in the same way.
Yeah.
You know, you see them small places, and you can see like some things going on, but that's not the primary thing. And because that's also something that is very, very problematic, right? Because you have one thing that you need like to be free, or you need to end the struggle, or you need whatever.
You can't do all the fights at once.
Exactly. Then this other subjects or other problems in the society becomes less important. So I think that's also, just to add to that, because we need to.
Sure, that's a great.
It's a tricky area.
Yeah,
that's a good point on that.
Yeah. Also, like mental health. Just mental health in refugee camps or something like that, right? That's also not something that is being addressed as much, because the story is covering something else, you know.
Something
and
that
people
interests
are,
me a lot.
It's things that I personally learn a lot about these topics, because you don't know them.
No.
As a born and raised in Denmark, you don't know about this.
No.
Yeah, you don't think about that kind of thing.
You don't think about it
many...
because it's not a part of your reality.
No.
So it's like it's new in many ways.
Yeah, we learn all the time.
And of course, in the modern times, we have the ability to look into many different places in the world where there are many different struggles going on. Is this something that you found to be kind of difficult in terms of getting attention from people now? In terms of like, there are so many different things that we can be a part of. How to kind of like communicate in a way that kind of gets to people and grabs people's attention and stuff like that.
Well, I feel like not the only thing. One of the main issues has been how to talk about the conflict, because it's like overshadowing all of the other things that we wanna highlight. We want, like, of course we acknowledge that there is a struggle and there is a fight and there is all of these like this conflict going on, and it's affecting people's lives, but we want to be for something. We've been talking a lot about that. We want to be for like kids having a safe space. We want to be for kids having access to education, or like getting resourceful, all of these things, right? We want to create that story. That's the narrative that we want to say, but it's so hard when we're working in a field that is overshadowed by the conflict all the time, and people start asking us, oh, but then you're political, like then your project is so political, but we're like, no, it's not. Like, we cannot avoid talking about these issues because that's the everyday life that they're experiencing. So had we been in another area, we might not have been talking about like the Israeli Palestinian conflict as much, right?
Yeah.
But we wanna try to
be positive and be going towards something positive as opposed to away.
Instead of being anti.
And we don't want to neglect we don't want to say that we don't talk about the conflict, because we do because people are affected by it.
The stories are there.
We tell the personal stories of the conflict.
But we don't want to say that because if the tables were turned, we would do the exact same thing, you know. And that's what we've been struggling a little bit with, because people come at us with that, and we're like, but that's not what we're focusing on.
If we did this in Vietnam or something like that, it would be a totally different, like
it's a different historical context.
Yeah, exactly.
And political context. Yeah.
So sometimes we're just like, well, we're just working with kids, man. It's not
and that's part of their life, so that's why you see it. That's why you will hear about these stories, and you will hear about the conflict. But if it wasn't their reality, you wouldn't be hearing about it. But because that's the whole aim by doing this, right? This the personal stories, so it will come up.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the natural kind of organic growing community of people just like, your friends there. They're your friends now. They're not just this case study or something.
No.
And that is a natural, organic, growing thing, a community of people that know each other.
Yeah.
We're not an anti-Israel group that just we're looking for some Palestinians to use in terms of our narrative. We just stumble upon a great community and some great people.
Yeah.
That's basically what it's all about.
Just keep building those bridges, and the dialogues thing I think is a super awesome idea for maintaining that and innovating with that.
Yeah.
I think so.
It just feels very human way of doing things. It's not, rather than now most of the conflicts or your opinions about the countries is mostly political.
Yeah.
Because that shapes your opinion about the country. And it's a much more human approach, which is much more of how human to human is, you know, rather than focusing on, okay, this decade we have problems with this in political, then they focus on this and explodes in different things.
That's the whole thing with human to human. We talked about family being a little bit different in terms of political views or all of that.
To what
when you go
doing
human
also.
to human,
Right?
yeah, exactly. When you go human to human, everything changes.
Yes.
No doubt, man. We notice.
Yes.
We start noticing. I have this theory as being it's all that traveling is not about. Well, I've done a lot of traveling, and I've born and raised in a country that isn't my own or whatever. It's like
you got an interesting story, yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of my things is that traveling is seen as a thing where you go and see how different we all are. Oh my God, and they wear this kind of clothes or they do this. But the thing that touches us and moves us is when we notice that we're the same.
Exactly.
Because it's like, oh, I love that. It's not that, oh, it's so different, that red thing, or the way you play the drum or whatever. It's because the way you play the drum, I like it. We're the same. We both like it. And those things blossom into. It's a funny paradox there. It's not about the differences. No. We get moved and changed by our similarities.
But that's the new paradigm, because that's not always how it's been, right? And you're also touching upon.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's
For me, a very good example what you're saying is when we were in Ethiopia. I'm not sure if you watched the interviews the little videos that we made with Michael in Ethiopia and musical academy.
I did see that.
But there was few shots where the musicians came into the house and they were teaching how to play these instruments, people, when they sat down. And I mean, some of them didn't even spoke good English, but yet they sat down and people sit in front of each other. Oh yeah, oh like this, oh yeah, like that. And then they just talk without normal words, just looking at each other. Oh yeah, I can see it working.
Can you feel it? I'm feeling it.
I'm feeling it.
I did some work I managed to convince one of the composers unions in Denmark, DJ BFA, a wonderful union. I don't know if you're a member. I'm quite an advocate for that place. But I managed to I wanted to do some cultural exchange from Oman and Denmark, and through music as well. So I managed to create like a course in Arabic music styles for Danish composers to go on a work retreat.
I saw you went to a lovely farm or something like that, right?
I did it twice in Oman. Where we stayed in a big farm there, and I managed to bring, but I kind of used Oman as the local musicians, but also from my network in Egypt and Lebanon as well, and brought them there. Unfortunately, because of the Arab Spring happening, there was a bit of suddenly lots of people weren't allowed into Oman, so the next year I moved it to Ethiopia, which I also have a relationship with that country.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know so many different people from all over, like...
Yeah, it's kind of been my life mission since I was 12 or something to be that person. When I first came, I had to come to Denmark, and it didn't work very well. And I realized, oh, I'm not Danish, actually, even though I thought I was. Yeah. And I kind of took other things. Yeah. One of the things that I also did was that I spent some time in Israel, actually, or in occupied territories. And I worked. I met some Israelis in India that I befriended. I don't know if you know, but Israel at that time had 50,000 visas. India gave 50,000 visas at any time to Israelis. So there was always 50,000 Israelis in India at any given time, because it was used as their retreat after their forced army situation, which means that you actually meet a lot of quite post-traumatic situations. Yeah, exactly. Some PTSD situations. A lot of people that don't really care for traveling but needed to go with their group to get away from that situation. It's a pretty heavy situation. I was 18 at that time, so I really knew very little about the sort of geopolitical situation. I wasn't very switched on at that point. No. But so it was actually my first time meeting somebody from Israel and realizing that they were kind of weirded out by me because I was had the Emirati. I heard them speak a bit of Arabic, so I tried to speak Arabic with them, and that went down badly. Yeah. You know, it was weird. They thought I was. There were straight up spy situations where they were like, "Okay, this guy," you know, like there was a guy that thought I was a spy, you know, because I was speaking Arabic and I was white, and it was like, then they get freaked out about that.
That sounds pretty freaky.
You know, there is one, I did learn quite a lot of things then after that, then going there and understanding a little bit about the conflicts, especially just how extremely terrible it is and how everybody is, there's just a whole Palestinian and Israel, everybody's traumatized, you know, somebody's died in the conflict, a family member, or been injured or hurt. And then you also hear about this history. I would really love, you mentioned that there's you said this thing of like, that there was books, you know, it's not just an article, there's books that you got to read. Yeah. And I think it's interesting to, so this thing of Aida, I think a lot of people here, they or don't understand that. Okay, so Aida refugee camp happened in 1948. Where were they living there before? Was there a conflict? Didn't they have a house? You know, what was it a war conflict? Was it a war situation? No, it wasn't, right? No, it wasn't. I've heard a story about, I lived in a town there for a while with some people sweet people in a place called Tzvat. Okay. It's one of the ancient cities. Maybe you could pull it up, my sweet friend. Tzvat, said W-A-T. It's older than Jerusalem, actually. It's been situated there. It's close. It has some of the Druze in it as well. You know, this special religion that only exists. The Druze. I spent some time with these. They're so nice. Oh my God. There's a lot of
minorities in Lebanon, so one of them is Druze.
Jerusalem, they are special people with a special religion that kind of mixes a bit of Islam and Christianity and reincarnation.
Yeah, I don't really understand it.
It's kind of hard.
It's a good mix.
That great time when all the religions were just like, oh, can I just try a bit of your baptism? Let me do a little Ramadan.
Cherry picking.
Yeah.
So Tzvat is this amazing place just before Ramat Golan, before the Golan Heights, and there is this sudden sort of mountain with a tabletop on it, and there is of course been built a city, sort of like a village all the way around and up it, and it's been there forever and ever and ever. It's an ancient hovel, and it was of course filled with Jewish people, a lot of American Hasidic Jews being there, immigrating to there, using their right of return, as they call it also. And it means you're getting Tzvat Israel, you could write maybe. Okay, so this is obviously, you come there, you will see that this is an ancient place. It is an ancient building, still standing, renovated and things like that. And my hosts there told me, this is built by the Arabs, of course. But as you can see, it has never been under any kind of attack. So how did they get them to leave? And they said, well, they used propaganda, saying that the wars were coming. They would things like, the Jews, they have Einstein, so they have the bomb. They're going to throw the bomb on Tzvat, maybe. What? Which is the bomb, the atom bomb. Okay. And these kind of like pamphlets were being thrown out. Okay. To get people and say, just go to this camp over here for a little while until you're safe.
But that's not. I'm sorry, but that's not like completely how it happened, right?
No, tell me about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I don't know about this story in particular, but I'm just in general, you know, about Palestinian-Israeli conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the story is that before nation state, right? The building of like the establishment and all of these things with this nation state, you had colonized, like you had the Middle East was a colony for the British and the French people, and then the whole of like Syria, Lebanon, parts of Jordan, Palestine, and I think that was it. They were all called Syria. It was one big country area, because it wasn't really a country because we didn't have nation states at that point, right? So you had, let's say in Lebanon in the 1920s, people started wanting nation states and wanting to be liberated by the French colonizers and stuff like that. And the same thing were happening in Palestine and everywhere else. You know, Syria became Jordan, it became Lebanon, it became Palestine, and it was just cities that now became countries before, and they were also influenced by the Ottoman Empire. So it was like Ottoman Empire first, and we had the British and the French colonies or colonizers. I don't even know how to speak about this in English, but yeah, I'm trying my best. But yeah, and then the conflict. So it's always been like people have been trading with each other. People have, like, that's why you see the same culture, right? The same language. It's just different dialects because where you were situated, where your family were. But people were going back and forth between Lebanon and Palestine. At that point, there's a big wall now. But before that, every time I pass by, I can see my parents say, yeah, but that's where like people were having families on the other side of the wall, you know, like people were just going in and out, and there was nothing called Lebanon and Palestine because it was one big area. And so there was a lot. Your
parents told you that.
My parents told me the stories about that because when we when we drive past, we see the big wall, and before that, that's not how it was. They were saying that people had families and they were going, you know, back and forth, and it was just one big country because it was, you know. But then you have in Palestine, you have people living, Arabs, essentially living there for ages, you know, Muslims and Christians and Jews, but they were all Arabs, and they were all at a point they were Palestinians because of the nation states, right? They become a country and therefore they were Palestinians. But you had different the monotheistic religions were primarily living there because of like it was a holy country.
Site.
Yeah, the holy site.
The Abrahamic religions.
Yeah. But you still at the same time you had issues in Europe with Jews and with we know the story, right? And there was this Zionism movement in parts of Europe, but also primarily in the U.S. that were advocating for a for a Jewish homeland, for a Jewish home country, because of the injustice that they were experiencing, you know, in Europe, in the States, like immigrating to the States, right? But still, in like all of that in Europe, they needed a place to be as a. They were pretty much a diaspora.
It's a part of their cultural heritage.
Yeah, they were
not having their land.
Exactly, they didn't have a land. So in this movement, the Zionist movement, you have this idea or ideology that says that the Jewish people deserves or like their whole like their land. They have the right to have to be placed or to move to Palestine. Because of historical biblical
omens and
exactly so that's why, right? And then that's the geopolitical powers of it, because when you advocate for something and you are in favor of, you know, you have advantages of, you know, mobilizing as a big unit, talking to politicians in the States, also being in like I don't know, you're able to immigrate because at that point nobody was really.
It played well with the post-colonial.
Yeah, exactly, post-colonial powers that were there. So a lot of Jews immigrated to Palestine, and like European Jews, right? And that was fine. And then they bought land and all of these things. And at some point, there was also, I don't really remember the story very well, but there was land being sold to like Jews, and not like Arab Jews, but Jews immigrating from other countries. And then it became bigger and bigger, and a lot of people immigrated. And then the conflict has started to arrive, because then they were being supported by a lot of they were supported by the British, and so they had an advantage, and the Arabs were not very good mobilized. They didn't really think that this is what they would expect at some point.
It was
that
not
they
a
would
nation like we know it.
No, it's not. It was not a nation like we knew it, because it was very recent. So it was like 1920s, and we had already had nation states, right? But we were still drawing lines, and we still had colonies and all of these things. So it was not as they didn't have the same infrastructure. They didn't have the same.
Rights.
Exactly. So they were still fighting colonial powers, and at the same time fighting this new entirety of people coming to Palestine. So I mean, it was, and from that moment, the conflict stirred, or started to happen, because even though land was being sold by people who were in power in Palestine, let's say, there was still a lot of people seeing that there was things being done that was not okay. And at some point, there is this whole war story, but I don't want to get into that. But just to say that it didn't happen just like that,
No, it was not in
it was not
1940s.
Yeah, it was a big
sure.
build-up that happened, and then escalated, and then because you have people who are poor mobilized, and then you have a group of people who were getting all of these means to fight back. Of course, you will get power, because it was still a colony,
Yeah.
But there were people living there. There was a lot of people living
sometimes
there.
I feel like
sure.
it is as if the bigger powers were set to play by a different set of rules.
No, it's unequal power relations. It's
and
unequal
you still
power
had
relations.
people staying there, and they weren't they haven't had a history of imperialism or all these things that we know as big nations and stuff. It was not part of the game there, and then you come and you set up new rules.
Yeah, exactly.
like that.
And there this story that I was being told. We got time.
We got time.
We just have it's 30. Oh, it's 15 to. So we're actually gonna wrap it up right now.
Oh yeah.
Wrap, riggedy.
Yeah. But
Music for Aida.
Say, I don't know this story, so I don't the one that you were talking about. So I don't know.
I'll just quickly say that what I was told, the stories that I was told by sort of more radically leftist Israelis, in a way, maybe it was, but they were talking about that they were used maneuvers and tactics to move the local people away from their homes under the ruses of danger coming.
Can I say something after you? It's just when we talk about this, we have to also remember that it's different narratives, right? So Palestinians are brought up understanding and knowing a specific history, and while at the same time the Israelis and community is brought up with a different story, and that's pretty much why always, so it's just to say that's their truth, because that's what they've been taught by the whole system, by their parents, by even, it's not about if it's true or false, it's about what you understand about yourself. So it's also pretty damn hard if you're an Israeli, to listen to this story that I just told, because I told this because I've been reading about this through my bachelor, so it's like my professors, everything else, they were the one, giving me the books or whatever, it's also to say that nothing is neutral. Also what I'm saying, I will also say that maybe I'm affected in some way.
Biased in some way.
Biased in some way, but I'm just saying, this just goes to say that they're telling their story, and not to say that it's wrong or right, but that's
they
where
have access to a certain amount
of knowledge.
Of knowledge,
exactly, and that's where it goes wrong with those two people, because also Palestinians have not all, but some people have no interest in talking to Israelis, right? Because they understand they're suffering in another way, and that's their history. So that's why it's so hard to. I don't see how how it how it ever will be.
How to break it down.
Exactly. Yeah.
Healing.
I'm sorry.
No, that was great.
No, it's really not to.
You actually managed to bring the podcast to a very elegant and informative end.
I'm sorry. Good. I'm happy about that. Yeah.
So
she's the boss lady.
Yeah, you're the boss lady. I dig that. Thank you so much.
Just a quick thing. I wanted to just possibly we could use this if there are people that if you're looking for volunteers of particular areas or different things, put a shout out to the world.
We are recruiting.
Yeah.
Basically, we want you. No, but we're starting small. We're actually doing a bit of a franchising, both in I think it's right now we're doing Ireland as well, and in Barcelona. Guys funding for cinema in Barcelona, funding for cinema in Aida Youth Center. And we're also recruiting all over Denmark, and we're trying to start up something in Aarhus as well.
Maybe also
we've been talking about
you can mention where the guys can find you.
Yeah, you can find us on facebook.com/music4
with the number 4.
Yeah, number 4 Aida. Music for Aida.
Yeah.
And also on Instagram. You actually reached out on Instagram.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if people want to get involved, they
and
know where to
don't
find you.
and just one last thing, don't think that I don't know anything, or I don't know what I can contribute with, because we didn't know. We just wanted to see some change in the world, and we tried out little by little. So we can always help you if you just think this is nice and I want to help in some way. We'll figure out what you can contribute with, and we'll make something.
Excellent.
Splendid.
And of course, you're welcome to contact us at Memoirquest for any further information or contact that you would like.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you so much, guys, for having us.
Thank you for your amazing
so
work.
much.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really, really great.
Wow.
Thank you.
What a roller coaster ride. I just had a history lesson as well.
Yeah.
I hope that it was not too much,
Happy jolly good day. Shubha வாழ்வு பொங்கும் நாளே.